Hello, everybody. My name is Tabla Rosa, aka La Roza Negra or Black Rose. If you're nasty, streamer, host, personality extraordinaire, captain of several different entities, artist now, but that's a different conversation. But I am joined by the lovely, the ever so gorgeous, the quirkiest quirk that ever did quirk, the, the number one coffee drinker on this planet. Data Masha, how are you doing today?
I'm doing better now that I have my coffee. But like I did mention to you earlier, broken nail.
Wow, that's truly a hate
Hmm.
crime. It's gotta be. It's gotta be a hate crime.
That's what y'all voted for. Hmm.
That's what y'all
Prop,
voted for. Please, no, that's talk
Prop
your shit.
40.
Talk your shit.
All y'all put yes to Prop 40 and broke my nail. So, period.
Prop 40 and Prop 6, cause now they gotta go to jail, so they gotta be
Yeah,
slaves. It's their fault. It's their fault.
their fault. And Prop X, Y, and Z about the rent control. I'm not over that one either. I don't
It's
have them memorized, but
it's too many. It's too many propositions, and I'm over in a different state over here. I'm like,
oh
do
yeah.
we not care? I'm sitting in the one blue section of this entire state. Every other city was red. I'm like,
Oh my goodness.
well,
Oh
damn.
wow. Have you traveled outside of the city?
No, not even
Fair.
remotely.
I hear you. I respect that.
I had my state where I traveled to the red area. I think we both. I think we.
Yes, we both have. We both have. I wake up in the middle of the night with night terrors from that. I sleep with one eye open because of that county.
We were there during that election.
We were both.
Yes, both
Wait,
of them.
yeah, both.
One happened during the pandemic. I think we were freshmen when the first one.
We were freshmen walking around on campus with all. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna get into it right now because I'm starting to get the shakes. And I'm drinking coffee. Oh, bad mix. Let's drop it.
Right. Speaking of a mix, we're gonna get into a good mix. A good mix of yapping, capping, rapping, battered by
Trapping.
pepping. Period. Mixtape coming 2025. Let me stop playing. Let me stop playing. People gonna
I
really
will
be
be
like,
there.
"Where's the music?" I'm like,
Yeah, you said. You said.
seriously. But okay, now that we've gotten all the shenanigans out of our spirits, that's a lie. That's a lie. We're absolutely gonna
Yeah, 'cause we're
shenan.
going to Shanann again.
Yes, absolutely. Um, I'm here with another episode of the Roze Garden, and today's episode is titled "Ink Caps and Ivy: Quirk and Black Misrepresentation." Now, before we get started, do you want to do it or should I? Do you want to do it or should
You know what? I'm gonna be honest. What is the it?
I? No, respect it. The we open up every episode with a PS motherfucking A point of notice
Oh,
that we want to make sure everybody understands about the topic that is at hand.
I'm going to hand it off to you. I think that one, you're well spoken, and two,
Stop.
you're Rose, you're Rosa. So
Stop.
it must.
I'll just be here. But all right, I'll kick it off. All right, we ready? PS motherfucking A. Me and my weird ass is not really that weird. You just haven't gotten used to seeing people live authentically themselves and unabashedly themselves. And that's truly an okay thing to do. I promise you. If you stop worrying so much about what everybody else is, what caveat to that? Be weird, positive. Don't be weird, Diddy. And I don't mean that in a ha 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 Diddy. There's nothing funny about that. Don't be fucking weird. Be weird. Don't be weird.
The accent over the e.
Like fucking Beyonce. Be weird.
Say cred. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah, she. Please stop. I'm gonna just see a bunch of fucking B fucking emojis in the comments. I'm gonna be like, we're here.
I know. My
I,
bad.
I want
Censor
to be
that.
very
Be
clear.
very
I love Beyonce. I have loved Beyonce for the entirety of my life. She has been amazing longer than I have been alive on this planet and performing longer than I've been alive on this planet. So be very
period.
clear.
Destiny's Child is why I have my name.
I also know a high majority of that discography, more than most people who probably feel the need to criticize and critique, because I know undercuts. I know the full main discography. I know undercuts. I don't know all of them secret hits because I'll be finding new ones and I'll be like, oh, right then. But leave me alone.
Disclaimer.
Hmm. But yes, once you start learning to be your best unabashed self, you'll have so much more fun in life. I promise you. It's not to say that what other people say doesn't matter. It's more so to say your peers deserve to see a range of personality and experience so that the caveats with which they are consuming things are a bit more expanded.
I love that. That's well said.
Thank you. Thank you. I try. What about you? You can absolutely just cuss people out too.
Is this my PS motherfucking A?
Absolutely, as long as you don't talk about Naruto running down the hallways, because I mean we've heard enough of that on Twitter. We've heard enough.
Um, give me a second. I think that I can only say the same thing that showing up as your authentic self is literally what makes the world go round. Um, Hiding yourself or trying to fit yourself into a box will just never work. It'll never win.
This
I
felt
don't
like
know
you're
what to
about to be
say,
leading into a
but
gospel song.
what to say?
I said it felt like you're about to lead into a gospel song. I got very weary for a second. I'm like,
That's so funny.
are we getting
I'm
churchy?
sorry.
We getting churchy? I'm like, I
No,
don't think I'm dressed for the eyes of God right now.
I was saying I'm not the well-spoken one, but I had an analogy actually about making the world go round. I remember when I was little and the first Transformers came out, they showed like the world that the Transformers was from, and it was like a giant cube floating in space, right?
What the what was it called? The cyber spark or something like that.
I don't even know what it was called.
I
I just
don't
remember
know.
being scared. I remember like that world did not look right. I was like, it should not be square. It should not be cube. And that's what the world looks like if you don't show up as yourself.
The way you feel about that world from the Transformers is how I initially felt watching the fucking Avengers in the movies when it first came out. I disclaimer had a very bad habit of falling asleep during movies. So I'm in the movies. Parent at the time absolutely paid for me to go and do this because this was their special interest and it was trying to draw me into their special interest, and it was one of the more positive things. They otherwise would have had a great experience on me because other parts of the special interest I was interested in, like I enjoy film and film theory, but that one I can't. Something about being in that movie theater, them lights being dark, I would just. And then they're waking me up mid film. All I see is this big blue box. That Tesseract got me shook to this day. To this day. I don't want nothing to do. I can't even watch Loki now because of that damn movie.
I
MCU,
hate that. Waking up
MCU,
half
I know you
the worst.
exist, but no
I'm
thank
dead.
you.
That tesseract represents not showing up as your authentic self. I don't know.
Clearly. It's an alien concept. Why would you ever?
Exactly.
Oh, brother. But all right, let's go ahead and get into today's episode and actually talk about a bit of why we're even here. Because I have Dadamasha here with me because we were brainstorming this actual episode idea and concept as we visited Oktoberfest. Like, I think the biggest point between both of us is when she looked at me and I looked at her and we went, there are other black people here. Like,
Yeah.
but like it wasn't so many black people to where we felt comfortable. It felt like it was a notable point to go, there are others like us. We
Mm.
exist. And like it's not to say that we don't exist cuz obviously if it's the two of us there together, we exist in the world. But like it's just a validating experience. And why is it that in the year of our Lord and Savior Blue Ivy 2024, we're still looking for not necessarily looking for validation because we exist and we are fine with our existence, but more so reveling in the validation that we see around us with people also living unabashedly and joyfully. Now,
Hmm.
I will say this because I do also feel like it's worth mentioning. There were black people there, and there were people who happened to be black that were also there. And I noticed that based on the conversations that were being held within the space. But that's not the conversation being held at the moment. I just want to make a quick aside to say if you are within a predominantly white space as a black individual being detrimental to your black experience, you are not being helpful to yourself either. In the great words of Francesca, I don't know her last name. I don't think her last name is Ramsey, is it? No.
I think so.
Is her last name
I mean,
the
the name sounds familiar.
I think so. Hold on. I'm gonna we're existing in a world and a time. I get to search the Francesca Lee. There we go. That's her name. Oh no, I was
Oh,
right. Her Francesca Lee's her tag. Francesca Ramsey is her name. I'm gonna start trusting my brain one of these days. Not today, but one of these days.
one of
Um,
these days.
in the great words of Francesca Ramsey, I never thought the leopards would eat my face is a constant consequence that you will continue to go through if you don't like serve your own best interest. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean that in a considerable to your intersections way.
Hmm.
But yeah, we were there. When I say we had a time, we had a time. Now we probably should have chose better with some of the food, but
Oh yeah.
otherwise, a time
Otherwise,
was
it's
had.
time was
We were
we
we had a
were
riot. When I say I enjoyed everything, I enjoyed everything. Did you have? I forgot to take pictures, but did you have a good time?
No, I had a great time. I love the Renaissance Fair.
She
I
ate me
love
up.
being in the fantasy universe.
She absolutely ate me up. I pulled up. I'm like, I'm a pirate. I'm on the plane. I'm thinking I'm giving cutesy, very demure, very mindful. They called me the candy pirate on the plane going and coming because I was always educated by my flight attendant best friend to give gifts to your flight attendants. A,
Hmm.
because they are working and sometimes it makes it just a little bit bearable. But also, um, sometimes if you give gifts, they will also like look out for you a little bit. and
Oh,
and it does happen. They'll take care of you. I got moved seats on my second flight just a little bit more so I could comfortable. I absolutely stretch across both of them seats. They're all like, now the way they did it, I do feel like they was calling me just a little bit big back. But again, aside for another day, um, they definitely hooked me up with a 4 row, and they slid me a couple extra snacks. Um,
oh, we love that.
we do. But I'm thinking I'm giving. Okay, I'm pulling up. I'm in the spirit. Chainmail. Data
Period.
Masher pulls up and fucking chainmail in this
Her.
old medieval dress. Like, and I'm ready. I think the only saving grace I had was the shoes because one thing Data Masher is always gonna do is pull up in them goddamn Jesus walks.
What I do? I was trying to kind of go for a Joan of Arc feel, and she was as close to Jesus as we can get because they were communicating for a couple of years. So I was like, let me wear the Jesus walkers.
Your Joan
your
was
Joan was
arcing, but them
hard.
toes was out.
They were out. I regretted that a little bit because it was dusty out there.
It was dusty and you almost twisted your ankle.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah, you almost
Yeah,
ate it. That was.
that would not have been fun.
But it was a fucking riot. And circling back to the main point, just to reiterate it, it shouldn't have been such a point of surprise that we got there and saw not necessarily a diverse crowd because it was still a majorly white event, but
Mhm.
to see so many black people within the space just having a good time and
Everybody was dressed up. All the
comfortably.
black people we saw were dressed up in
Yes.
their Renaissance get up. Like they were there to show up and have a great time in this fantasy universe. And I think that's the big part to me that made it feel so cathartic because going into something like a Renaissance fair, right? It always feels like not necessarily that you would associate Renaissance fair with whiteness, but just kind of like I feel like spaces like that overlap with each other.
No, I
I don't know
get
how
you.
to explain what I'm trying to say that well, but just stepping into that world and seeing other black people experiencing this fantasy Renaissance world as well, and knights and joust and wearing their costumes. It just felt like, okay, this world is awesome. Like we all see the same thing. We all know that like this is fun and this is the place to be.
No, because I think I'm right there with you. And for longtime listeners, um, most of you who may be new to the revamped episodes, you are only familiar with this season. However, prior to this season, there were, I want to say, either two, technically three and a half. Oh no, two and a half, because there was a third season that got cut halfway through because I was like, we're gonna properly get this together. But originally during it was either season one or early season two. I had Dada Masha on previously, and we were talking about Afrofuturism, and the whole reason why Afrofuturism was even carved out as it pertains to our world is because we didn't get to see ourselves in futuristic places. We
Right.
have several people within our parents' generation, and even depending on how old you are, or alternately how split your family dynamic is, your grandparents' generation who didn't get to imagine themselves within any kind of future space prior to Parliament and Funk and
Oh
Bootsy
yeah.
Collins and that whole wave of people until they saw Star Trek.
You're
Like
right.
we were, we were the minstrel shows. We were okay. Maybe I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I should probably not do the minstrel dance while you're drinking coffee. Okay. God, I didn't want you. I did not want you to choke. I was like,
Yeah.
wait.
Luckily, I had delayed processing, so it was funny after the fact.
But yeah, we were the minstrel shows. We were the taboo underbellies. Because white kids used to. That's a whole. Again, we all got the history lesson as black people. Elvis Presley used to be one of the white kids that used to also sneak to the black clubs and bite off what Chuck Berry, Big Mama Thornton, and all of the others were performing. I'm saying all the others because there's so many to name, not because they're not important. I'm going to be very
I
clear.
understand.
Also clarifying for the audience, I'm sure you're here with me, but like sometimes people need you to hold their hand, and so I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. It is always imperative that you try and imagine yourself and feel emboldened enough to see yourself within a space, despite what is despite what is presented in front of you, because you deserve to be there. We got black anime characters, we got black video game characters, main video game characters, not just supporting characters. Um,
That's a big deal.
I still maintain to this day, and I will go toe to toe with anyone who tries to challenge me. As much as Kratos is from Greece, that man is black. His VA is black, and not only is his VA black, that man is a bald black dad if I've ever seen one. He is white by happenstance because he has the ashes of his family on his body. That is canon. But why else would he leave Greece and go and peruse through Egypt casually? That man was strolling through there minding his business. Them gods found him, but he was otherwise minding his business. Just in Egypt, like, these my
I will
people.
never forget when you pointed out that Zemnis is canonically black because you met him in real life.
He is, and it's not even my fault. It's not. That man is black, and I only know he's black canonically because there's this black older gentleman named Tony who visits my job. I won't say what my job is so that I don't fully dox this man because I've already said his name. But I had to because his name is Tony. When I say he got that soul patch pointy beard, like fucking Simmons. He got that soul patch pointy beard and the bald head. And I'm like, that is a black man. You are.
That is so
I
funny.
want to tell him so bad. I'm like, are you familiar with Kingdom Hearts? I really do.
You have to print out a picture if you must and show
And
it
the
to
worst part
him.
is, like, I know what he orders every time he comes in the stores. So I'm just like, we're having a casual conversation. One of these days he's gonna come in. I'm gonna put in his food, everything. He's ordering it. Make sure he's all situated with his comfort and everything in his visit. And I'm like, so are you familiar with Kingdom Hearts? Because you remind me of a character from there, and I think it would be a great Halloween costume for next year.
It was
No, what I'm telling you, this man is tall, slender, actual silver pointy beard, gray eyebrows. Like, the only thing he was missing was them gold eyes.
You're so funny. He just got to get those contacts off of pinkyparadise.com and period.
Get them. Hold on, hold
Cosplay
on. This
over.
y'all want to sponsor me, maybe, but that's not paid. I'm not. This is not sponsored yet. Hit my line. But he needs the contacts. Oh, and he needs a trench coat too, because you got to pull out that
Oh
jacket. You
yeah,
got to pull out that jacket.
that is true. It's true.
Um, who else is? I'm trying to think. Who else is black, like canonically at this point? Because we're robbing people. We're
Knuckles.
robbing people at this point.
Knuckles from Sonic.
Knuckles. Oh yeah, Idris Elba voiced him, but also, Sonic is black too. All of the Sonic characters are black, honestly.
They got to be.
What was his name? What's his name? Jaleel White, I think.
He played.
He was the original Sonic.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
I want to say Jaleel White was the original Sonic. Uh,
Period.
Family Matters. He was Steve Urkel.
Did I do that?
Yeah, I think I'm saying the right person. I'm gonna be so ashamed if his name. No, no, no. Okay, I'm 2 for 2 today because I don't be knowing people's names. Come on, brain. You locked in.
You're so right. I feel like the Steve Urkel conversation can be had too about
Unabashed blackness.
like yeah.
True, because he was very okay. Yes and not no, but yes and kinda. Yes, because
Mm,
he was very visibly an intelligent black man, but also not just an intelligent black man, an intelligent, less favorably looking black man within the 90s, and he existed within a space. Kinda because he still existed in a black dynamic in a black universe, and like as much as he was quirky, his inherent quirk wasn't just like it was a lot of 90s tropes stacked on top of each other that played into his quirkiness, not just him as an
yeah.
individual. Because ideally, he wouldn't like he was a caricature more than he was a full character. He was later fleshed out to be a full character, but he started out as a concept idea. As most characters do, because you just write them on paper. But it's
Yeah.
especially with the costuming, it's very evident that he was ooh, okay. Okay, I gave the moment. I gave you the cute moment. I need the headphones to actually sit on my head. Actually, I might take off the hood because it's actually hot. I'm committing to the bit, but this is
Oh,
hot. This is 100% wool. I am cooking.
oh wow.
I am cooking. I'm going to.
And that's not even like
I'm going to unzip this too. I'm not naked. Before anybody, I'm not naked. I got on clothes.
that was a striptease.
This ain't that kind of
I'm getting
party. I
named
just came here
already.
to dance for y'all, and that's
Yeah.
it. Oh, brother. But I'm trying to think because now we're on 90s characters. I'm like, are there any other 90s characters that were more? You know what?
Hmm.
I can tell you a 90s/2000s characters that wasn't black but served within the black zeitgeist and did a lot to move the black culture, but it also simultaneously made me feel iffy about it in hindsight. Jessica Alba as Honey.
Huh. Oh, it's
As
honey.
Honey, and I forgot her character's name in Max as Max in Dark Angel because my friend made me go back and watch Dark Angel. Um, Good show, by the way. I actually enjoyed the premise of it, but like she did. I don't know which one came first. I feel like Black Angel came first. I want to say it was like 99, 2000, and then she came back and did Honey in like 2003. I think 2003, 2004, somewhere
Oh
around
wow.
there. That era of Black Jessica Alba will never not be in the forefront of my mind. Cause baby, what was you doing?
Oh my god. I never watched Honey. I haven't
Oh,
seen Dark Angels either.
oh, okay. Dark Angel is gonna be hard to find because I won't admit to that on camera, but we'll talk about that on a more encrypted line when it's safer.
I understand.
But if you're catching what I'm putting down,
Oh, definitely. I can read between the lines. I got my reading glasses, baby.
period. Um, but Honey was essentially, I can give you the premise of that. You can also find that on most streaming services as well. Um, the premise of it was she was supposed to be an Afro Latina, Puerto Rican specifically, or half black, half Puerto Rican. I'm not sure. if her mom was supposed to be mixed as well. Either way, for her to have a black dad and a either Puerto Rican or mixed mom, that lady was. But she was out here dancing and being her best dance herself. And she wanted to move through the ranks and get through and build a dancing career on the merits of her talents. Got through, blew up, got popular because this dude really enjoyed her dancing, but also because he had a crush on her. Tried to wield his power in the way that we've now heard several reported stories of. It wasn't just the one. She said no. He tried to crush her career. She did it.
Mm.
She had built such a name for herself, though, by the time he tried to crush her career, that it really wasn't successful. And consequences of his actions caught up with him rather quickly because people began asking for her. She wasn't available. He tried to reach back out to her. She wanted nothing to do with him. And his business acumen was acumen. No, that's not the right word. His business acclaim. That's the word I was looking for. Was
Mm.
uh, rapidly tanking, and all of his credit within the industry he was working in was rapidly tanking because he tried to think with his small head and not his big one. And she still ended up working with the people that were seeking her out anyway. So she then got to build a whole studio and work with these. And she was also not only working with studio, but also had her mom owned a community center that she was teaching dance out of and working with kids. So that was also a B plot to the movie where that made the A and B plot merge at the end that helped build her
Mhm.
name. She was working with these kids, essentially tried to bring them along with her into her career. They said, "Want you and what you're doing, and sure we'll entertain the kids because I want you." But then after everything tanked the career, the kids lost hope in her because they had gotten this close to like being in, for example, I think it was a music video was Genuine, and then
Oh wow.
that video got snatched from them because he wanted to fire her for not having relations with him.
Wow.
Yeah,
It sounds a little bit, only a little bit though, like Break Into Electric Boogaloo, which can also be said that it's basically Dirty Dancing.
I feel like I feel like I have grievances with Dirty Dancing, but also simultaneously maintain that of the Dirty Dancing and a lot of dancing movies, one of my favorites is Dirty Dancing 2 Havana Nights.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that. I didn't know it got a sequel.
Oh, yeah, it's got a great sequel. They had Heather Headley on because they were in Cuba, so they had Heather Headley on the soundtrack. They had Maya on the soundtrack. Well, initially, and then those songs got pulled. And to this day, I never forgave them for it, and I still have the strongest crush on Diego Luna to this day.
Oh my
To
God.
this day.
Valid. Real.
Now, outside of this digital footprint, would I ever say that? No. But to this day, I see that man in public, I might start barking like a cute dog.
Oh no. I'm dead.
No, but I feel like Chicken Little. What were we talking about? Oh, Chicken Little was black.
He might have been.
Chicken Little was not his voice actor, but Chicken Little as a character and his dad. That was a black family. The I want to say the duck was she was white, and the pig I want to say was either Asian or like POC other POC coded, not
I feel like
either
the duck
Asian or
was.
Latino.
I feel like the duck. She was. I think she was Asian.
I could see that too.
Asian coded. I show.
Yes, I can see that.
Okay. Um, something that I was thinking about right now, how we're on the topic of like basically like 90s characters who were kind of written as being their authentic self and kind of like breaking apart that like monolithic idea of what it is to be black. Um, I guess I was thinking of like the opposite scenario. And the reason that that feels pertinent to me is that growing up, I was in a predominantly not black area, so it was mostly like Latino, Latina people I was around. And so like their main exposure of like blackness was usually through comedy or through like these sitcoms where like the black character was always the comedic relief. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, it's
they
just
were not dynamic. They were there
it's
to
the
kind of get that
same
quick little camera on.
dynamic also that a lot of middle America has of black people, where it's either we're there in theory because nowadays we have like reality TV and stuff or, being projected both on TV and social media, or you've got classic shows like the Judge shows and Bad Boys, or the 48 Hours and all those criminal shows that people were being introduced to, and they would disproportionately
Yeah,
see our faces there and on the news. So we're either criminals or entertainment spectacles, but never actual
exactly.
autonomous and realistic human beings.
Um, so like kind of riding that wave, what I was trying to go into is that I felt like mostly through elementary school, I always felt like an outsider, if that made sense. Like I kind of felt like I never really fit in. It was kind of hard for me to make friends. It just never worked. I was different. It just wasn't working. But moving into middle school, I started to play into this like class clown, comedic relief type beat where I felt like I became more palatable because I was there to be funny. But whenever I wanted to be like serious or talk to someone about like, something that was going on at home or just something in general, I felt like I was never taken serious. I felt like it was just kind of like, oh, I am just there to be funny. Does that make sense? Or how if I was like in a class with someone, people would get excited because I'm there to be funny. But it's not necessarily like, oh, I care about you as a person. You're just here to be funny. And
Yes,
so,
you are not necessarily an individual that I'm interested in. The value you present to me is what you're here for.
exactly. And I feel like I really boxed myself bad at that point where I was never really like presenting my authentic self, if that makes sense. So like I never really was able to really show up for myself. And even if I did want to start like talking about, you know what, I love Minecraft.
Period.
Let's talk about that. Like I even if I did want to do that, it kind of felt like that wasn't taken seriously or that wasn't really like I don't know how to like use the words that I'm trying to say, but I guess it just kind of felt like
You weren't given
you
credibility
want
for the things you got to enjoy because you were supposed to be the
yeah,
black character.
exactly that. And so I feel like also that can be tangential to like the feelings I felt at that Renaissance fair because it just kind of felt like I didn't necessarily project on everyone where I was like, all of you guys were the comedic relief, huh? Like I didn't project that, but I guess it just kind of felt validating. It just kind of felt like just
Cathartic.
again that yeah, cathartic, exactly. So I just kind of thought of that if you have an experience with that or if you want to say anything
Um,
about it.
my experience was a little bit different. Also, being
Hmm.
because I am ADHD, we out here on the spectrum with it. Um, so first and foremost, I always like to try and educate people as well because I take every opportunity. Um, being autistic and is a strange experience because I don't necessarily perceive or communicate with society. Normally, I am essentially. Most people have seen Steven Universe. I'm out here doing the amethyst thing. I come up to you. I have my interest in whatnot, but also as perceived proper forms of communication, I'm doing what you're doing. If you do it, I'm gonna do it. And
Hmm.
we're essentially out there doing the mirror dance. We're except I'm a little out of step because you're doing it because you know the steps. I'm sitting here trying to learn the steps, and it's very awkward for me because I'm like, oh, so this is what we're supposed to do. And then when the joke gets actually placed in front of me, I'm ha-haing, not knowing what's funny, not realizing that oftentimes I was the joke.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
So
Yep.
there was a lot of playing at and playing with uh, lines of how can we make this funny, which is also very common amongst our community because it's a thing of we will sometimes we'll laugh with you, sure, but we also do a lot of jawing and laughing at each other, but it doesn't
Yeah.
always translate very easily or authentically for an autistic person, and most of the time we're not stopping to explain that, we're just existing within our black culture. So it took me a long time to find that, not to say that I ever was disjointed from my blackness, but find that like every part of my blackness was meant to be multifaceted. I didn't need to step out of one pair of shoes into another, step out of one pair of shoes into another. And then at a certain point, I began to actually just sandwich all of them together, and it caused a lot of interference for other people because I refused to do what other people were doing, which was that again, code switching, as we're so colloquially familiar. And some in white spaces, I'm not being the white person, because in white spaces I may also be able to express my white interests, and it's safe in this space. But around black people, I need to be out there fully reciting the entire bar to I don't know what's. I enjoy rap, but there's too many songs that it feels like it would be disingenuous for me to name one and be like, "Oh, do it right now." And also, it always felt like, to some degree, we as black people, and this is my perception growing up, it felt like we felt the need to perform. And so I got really, really good at performing, both academically as well as in general. And I found that I enjoyed performing. So then later on, as I began to actually grow and build my critical thinking skills and reflect on my life, I actually began to hate myself a little bit, because I'm like, am I performing because I actually enjoy performing, or am I performing because I was taught that I'm black and I'm performing? And
Mhm.
I didn't stop me from performing, but I then began to build a bit more self hatred, which made me fall into then. I had a whole talented 10th stage in my life where I was like, I'm black, but I'm not one of those blacks.
Mm.
Yeah. Now imagine being the eccentric person while and I grew up in immersed in black communities, because as much as my parents wanted to put me in charter and private institutions, they also wanted me to be, again, immersed in those black spaces. So imagine putting yourself in those black spaces with this weird elitist mindset that is detrimental to the black space that you're in.
I
No
see.
bueno. So
No.
then after I came out of that elitist mindset, I got to the, well, I'm just me. I've accepted that I'm also different, but also it doesn't feel like most people are used to being different. So how about I acknowledge that I'm different? And then there came the conversation of queerness, and it just began to stack more and more Legos on top of it. And before I knew it, most people were in the corner playing with like Lego blocks and just building simple structures, and I was over here being a fucking stormtrooper. And I'm like, yeah, I like my little Lego stormtrooper. You guys like Legos too? That's nice. And most people found that condescending. And then at a certain point, I did become condescending, because people kept telling me, "Well, condescension is what you're doing," and I'm like, but no, condescension is this. And they're like, well, no, that's what you're doing. I'm like, okay, well, if that's what I'm doing, then why don't I do it?
Yeah. Just kind of playing into it.
And I kept fulfilling these self-fulfilling prophecies that I had to keep teaching myself out of, because no one could actually help advise me out of it. And then eventually it came to be, it's always there were several key points of education that I was given, because high school was really the point where I made my biggest and most critical change to who I am now. But it took
Mhm.
ninth grade year of everyone typically meeting me. Like, I had people who were already familiar with me and hated me from middle school, combined with the people who were gathering on, not hating me, that's a bit drastic, but found
I know
me
what you mean.
found me unfavorable from middle school. Then you also had the people who found me unfavorable and outcasted from middle school, giving them this information to these new people, and also the people who had neither of those in meeting me for the full time and meeting me as a full individual, giving 100%, which is not what anyone's used to doing in high school, to being essentially the second half of it, rather socially ousted, because everyone found it nice to. I was essentially the
Was
equivalent of the
essentially
fool who ripped their pants in high school. And I'm also gonna put this in here. I'm not telling you this for you to pity me. I also can reflect. Ninth grade I was very annoying. I can see myself with a full gaze, because I know where I was coming from as I was living it and being the person that I was. But I can
yeah.
also, because now I've taken the time to, and I understand a bit more of how the world functions around me, and learned a lot more about social spaces and dynamics, and immersing myself. Um, I I was not innocent. I'll give you that, Because for all of my intelligence, I won't feign and act like I was some sort of victim in everything that was happening. But I'm also a person with nuance and range to me. And living 100% on Front Street and trying to get people to fully digest all of you when most people don't digest 100% of any one thing, especially not even themselves, is a bit jarring. So everyone said no thank you and pushed away from the table. It's like it's like Thanksgiving. That's a better analogy for it. Everybody everybody enjoys the food at Thanksgiving, one meal or another. And some people don't want their foods to touch, but they'll eat a variety of foods. Some people are fine with their foods touching, but only want a couple of foods. I was a whole lot of food, all of it touching, and then not only was all of it touching, I took a fork with my personality at a certain point because I refused to actually separate those things because I thought it was personally stupid and spun all that shit together. Now, I was capable of digesting it. Most people still aren't to this day capable of doing so
So
and find that very disgusting.
to kind of try and like understand like this analogy part, are you talking about like certain parts of your identity is that people didn't like, or is it just like I guess I'm kind of having trouble following a bit.
Parts of my identity and parts of my personality as well. So, like,
Oh, personality.
being being very hyper and pro black, especially like I can say I'll talk about it in college as well because I had refined it a bit and learned how to pivot and go like put out litmus questions essentially to go and feeler questions to see what would fly and what would be okay within certain groups and certain dynamics. And I've gotten very good now at not necessarily separating my worlds, but um I don't exist and
I
change
don't
my
exist.
personality. However, I realize that my piece of this personality goes to this crystal specifically.
I understand. I
It's
understand
like
now.
they're all like,
Like,
I see why they're friends with you, but also I see how they're friends with you, but I don't see how you're friends with both of them. Is typically how people would digest that. And I'm like,
I
oh
see.
yeah, well I'm here with them for this, and I'm here with them for this, and they're like, oh, and they'll owe it, and then go, I see, but I don't understand, or I see, but that feels like a very convoluted system. And I'm like, but it works
Yeah.
for me.
The best part of all of that is like definitely just acknowledging that you don't have to be palatable to everyone.
Mm-mm. No,
And
that was the point I forgot to make from high school. It took my high school AP lit teacher actually reeling me in. He's like, "No, come here for a second, because you're about to go off to college, and I don't know if you've actually gotten this lesson yet. So I want to at least try and tell you because it's not gonna sink in until it sinks in. But you deserve to at least hear the words.
mhm.
Everybody's not gonna like you. You are a very adaptable individual and you have a lot of range within your personality. It's just gonna be people who just don't like you, and that's okay. You need to come to grips with and be okay with that happening now because it's only gonna hurt you later. Because not everyone can also process and deal with that authenticity. And like, I still have my Spanish teacher to this day from high school who I adore deeply. And I'm still essentially like their special little baby of sorts. And they rally behind any and all things that I'm always doing. But it was the difference between that sweet nurturing from her and that harsh like masculine, I'm gonna tell you this for your betterment because I also care about you, but you need to hear this in a bit more brash sense.
I see.
Which
Um,
also in hindsight taught me a lot about the difference between gender dynamics and how gender roles play out because it was very funny reflecting on how I had two both male and female maternal and paternal figures, not necessarily in a way of like they were actual parents, but more so like guiding and like mentor roles, and the approaches they took to it. It was like, okay, yeah, I can see how actual like femininity actually processes versus masculinity and how they interact with our world around us.
that makes sense.
Yeah, that was always funny. That I'm like, You spend a lot of time trying to protect me quite actually and go, it's okay, baby, you're just fine the way you are. And this one went, you are fine the way you are, but you need to understand that people don't like that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Sometimes I wish that I had that same guiding factor because like I kind of touched on about like trying to be palatable throughout middle school to try to make friends, right? Trying to be funny all the time and just be so annoying and extra. I feel like when I reflect on it, I think I was annoying, especially to the adults. All the teachers hated me. Um, I think that I spent a lot of energy trying to be liked a lot, and that really, messes you up. And I think that messed me up going to college because it was like a completely different dynamic, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm not seeing the same people really like that every day, 7 classes a week, 4 I don't know how to explain myself. Does this kind of make sense?
It
Like
wasn't
I
the
don't think
same sheltered environment where you're used to not only the same rhythm and repetition, you're getting into a world now where everything is scattered and independent and you're truly out there by yourself.
exactly. So then that comes the new question of I don't know who I am. Because I'm so used to being the class clown. I'm so used to just making everybody kiki laugh because I'm just annoying and loud. Basically putting on minstrel shows is what it felt like. Whatever. Um, I couldn't really do that anymore in college. And then that made me feel lost sometimes because I felt like I couldn't make friends at first
Mhm.
because that's how I knew how to make friends. And so I'm really glad that like at least just being thrown into that, I learned that oh, one, not everyone's going to like me, and two, I don't need everybody to like me. Because then all the real people, the people who were real, are the ones who actually came into my life and stayed. You know what I mean?
Um, Same dance, different shoe. I'll give you my
Yeah.
freshman year because same thing. I was on the opposite side of that. I'm like, I know who I am. I don't know where I fit in or if I fit in or belong here. Because I got to college and not only okay, uh, college was a saving grace for me because me and all of my family on separate incidences had come out of homelessness essentially. So I'm moving into my dorms. They're finally moving into their apartments. We're all finally squared away. However, I'm also trying not to bother my mom as much as possible because, uh, again, we just came out of homelessness. I'm also supposed to be like a grown up now. I'm out in the world. I grew up watching fucking Sabrina. She went to college. She went to college. She found a magazine. She did all the things. She did great in college. Why do I need to be here?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be bothering my mom. The lesson I had been given by the AP Lit teacher didn't actually fully manifest itself until I actually got into college because I got to fully expound upon and I had to fully learn to grapple with my own mental illnesses and everything that was going on by myself because I was quite literally away from my mom. I had flown the nest, so there was no way that she could take me to therapy. There was no way that she could uh, there was no talking to professors on my behalf to try and explain what's going on in a bit more of a neurotypical fashion or um, keeping me on par because you're responsible for going to your classes or explaining that and trying to really stubborn you down and go 17 to 19 credits a semester is way too many, especially for a fucking freshman to be trying to attempt.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I was taking 17 credits. My was it 17? Yeah, it was no. It was 19 freshman year semester one, 17 semester two. Come on, like 17 I can handle. It'll be fine. Everyone kept going. 12 credits is full time. Anything after that, you are overexerting yourself. But also, I had a mandatory 8 credits already on my schedule because of the program that I was in. And I had to get all of my major classes as well because they were supposed to be subsequent. And all of these classes went together. You were supposed to take, like, I think it was a theater course, you were supposed to take a music theory course, and you were supposed to take, I forgot what other course I was supposed to take. And then there was also supposed to be a practicum in there and I had to take those 4 classes along with this U hybrid course that went for 3 hours because it was I think it was English and history the first semester and poli sci and religious studies the second semester. And each
Mhm.
one was 8 units. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So it's doing all of that and then having to figure out the social spaces and realizing I didn't really know anyone, anything, or have any social connections. Developing my social connections slowly, but then going, okay, now I'm being social and sort of figuring out friends, but I don't necessarily want to hang out with all of the same friends all the same time because not all of them really get me. Because again, I'm so used to being all of me, and every one of my friend groups are only feeding into a different aspect of myself. Then it grew to me also having to grapple with then being exhausted and sick and depressed and all the different things and still having to go to class. And then the election happened. All of that happened very, very quickly. And after the election also came the grappling and coming to grips with my blackness as an independent adult now, because I wasn't an actual adult yet and I didn't get a chance to vote and everything. And there were a lot of people like, well, did you vote? And I'm like, well, no. And before I could explain that I was 17 freshman year, they're like, well, why didn't you vote? I'm like,
Ah,
because I couldn't. I turned 18 after the election.
dang.
And
That's a hard way to like kind of be thrown into that, like how you said, like grappling your blackness. That's a very harsh way to be put in that way. Cause like again, I was there when the election happened.
right, I got that I was black.
United States
It
place.
was not.
Yeah.
I got that I was black. When I was in like late middle school, early high school, and not necessarily got that I was black in a like you're black, more like a oh this is what it means to be black. It's not just Black History Month and all of our accomplishments and existing within Black excellence, but also Black culture and Black food, and also there's Black humor specifically and the way that certain
Yeah.
like understanding the comedic timing of Instagram, especially at that time, because there were a lot of references from like Instagram and Vine that we were dropping, and there were those that were very popular within Black spaces, and I had eccentric humors outside of just what I was consuming, so I was consuming a modicum of media, and not every joke was landing because not everyone understood the references I was consuming. Same
Yeah.
with music. Um,
Oh my gosh. Yep.
a,
The music thing.
a lot of
I
what
think
shaped my experience of music nowadays has been growing up in a very, very black household. Um,
yeah.
Literally, my mom was born 1970. And then
My mom was 1960, so I feel it.
exactly, so I'm growing up hearing the Commodores, I'm growing up hearing the Whispers, I'm growing up hearing, but also she was born 70, so she grew up and she was experiencing her 20s through the 90s, so I got a lot of rap, so I got
Oh,
to experience DJ Quick and stuff like that, and always hearing this in my ear. And also, my uncle was much the same because that's one of the things that's very. I think that's very prominent amongst a lot of black people, but especially within my family. Music is really important to us.
yeah.
Like
Agreed.
it's still minor beef that neither one of them really actually talk to one another about. I consistently hear about my mom and my uncle because they're brothers and sisters talking about, and he still got my CD from X, Y, and Z album, and I never got back that mixtape when I was da da da, or this movie was over there, and I'm like, if y'all don't just talk about what was missing and shut up. Now you don't say this to your mom clearly, but I'm thinking it. Mama, if you're seeing this, yes, talk to that man, please. Just y'all, it's annoying hearing both y'all talk about y'all be regaling stories and go, and I never got that CD back randomly out of nowhere. I'm like,
That's
go
funny.
and ask for it, or if you're not gonna get it back, shut up.
Just holding on to old news.
Yes, but it was taking all of those concepts of blackness and going, okay, I get what being black is, to going, no, 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 you're black, and not only you being black has consequence, you being black also has weight because
Yeah.
um I came to know this information of the demographic of our campus later on, but campus was 2.5% black, and yet still, how many times did you hear nigga dropped on campus?
I that is why I did not like going to parties half the time.
I know. I'm sitting here. I would get invited to parties. I think I went to a total of 3 parties that were not hosted by black people that I actually felt comfortable with. And to this,
Mhm.
one was a theater party. I didn't have the experience of saying "in" and anyone saying the N word. However, also I didn't hear or see a lot of black people within the space. So most of the stuff I was consuming were popular songs at the time because they were really great and I was dancing. And funnily enough, I got scouted that way as well. So it's funny I brought up honey. I was thinking about college. I'm like, and someone brought up honey earlier. I was like, I actually had a honey experience because the dance captain saw me at the theater party. And went, hey, you got great rhythm and technique and stuff. You should try out for our dance team. I'm like, okay, cool. Except I was exhausted. I was late to the audition. I didn't get to warm up, and I had no idea what was going on. So I was still actually processing everything in the room and being overwhelmed. I'm there trying to pick up the choreo. Nothing went right for me. I bombed out.
Oh no.
I think I got picked up by one person, and then by the time I got picked up by the 80s, 90s dance, because I was the one that I picked up most easily because it was what I was most familiar with.
Yeah.
Despite of all of my training growing up, I was most familiar with black dance because it was the one I got to practice the most, being in black spaces. Um,
Mhm.
I got cut from that one because I was exhausted. December came and I truly didn't want to do anything except stay in my room, and that wasn't an option because I still had to do finals and stuff. I think I got skated by most of those classes with I had a B in one, a C in most of them, a D in one of them, and another one I had to withdraw from.
Yeah, first semester was pretty nasty for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I still maintain now I should have fought a lot more than I did in college. I got away, but also I shouldn't have because I got away with a lot more of the fights that I got into in college than I should have because,
Fights with other people?
yes, like
T?
actual fisticuffs.
Oh,
There
really?
were people I beat up on campus that I had to walk past several days, and it is only by the grace of God themselves that nobody reported me.
I did not know any of that.
That's why I brought up the N word debacle because how
Oh.
you saying nigga and you ain't nigga, and moreover, you don't really like niggas, but you like fucking niggas.
Conundrum. That's literally an enigma.
Don't
Like,
even say enigma, matter of fact.
oh, yeah, enigma with a hard R.
Enigma.
Enigma. Oh my god, that's so funny.
But yeah,
Yikes.
I had, and that was another point of college that I had to grapple with. A lot of that rage as well, because I had a lot of pent up rage from high school because I had a lot of fights in high school that I just didn't take, not because I was pussy or anything like that, but because it was the thing of, and I've not had that conversation with my mother. I'm sure she meant to do me well by telling me this, and it was also one of the things that I also had to come to grips with and uh, reassess to see where she still stood. Where I began going to protest and everything in 2020. She made it clear to me that jail wasn't her thing, and if I went to jail, she was not coming to bail me out.
Uh,
Yes, and that was not just her, but my sperm donor also shared the same sentiment. So that was one thing they were united front on. Don't fuck up, cause you get in trouble, you on your own. Ain't nothing I could do for you, cause you made this bed. I'm forever your number one champion. But at a certain point, it goes. I'm riding for you, riding for you, riding for you. The wheels are gonna fall off up here. I see the wheels falling off. Jail is up here. Bail is back here. I'm not even gonna go that far. Before the wheels fall off, I'm out.
yeah.
So there was a lot of fights. There was a thing of if I actually let loose with the fighting and rage because I knew what I was capable of, especially because I had spent 10 years in martial arts, and I had also had him coaching. Yeah, I had him coaching me in my ear. He's like, "You are training to make your body a weapon. You cannot go out here wielding that weapon haphazardly." And he used that lesson consistently by telling us the story of him hitting his mom because he was in a car and she came and tapped him on the shoulder. and he just knocked fire from his mom, and his mom was all like, "Oh wow, all right." And he got scared that his mama was about to knock fire from him after he knocked fire from her, and she was just like, "Don't do that again." And he was all like, "I'm trying
Oh,
to tell you what I've already had to go through. Don't do it."
do it.
So I'm sitting here with this
Um,
whole lessons of just don't fight. You know what you're capable of. Just don't fight. Defend yourself, but don't fight. But nobody ever fought me outside of school where it would be different. And when they did fight me outside of school, shit got handled. The same thing like the college thing. It's by the grace of God there were never no phones out because the stuff I'm capable of when I get enraged and start letting loose gets a little shaky.
um,
But I finally cut loose because my mom wasn't there. So I'm like, my mom's not here. If I get into this fight, I'll be fine. There's no one gonna tell my mom that I got into this fight. Until there was also the realization because I heard someone else get in trouble for fighting and the cops got called on them and that was a whole thing. I'm like, oh,
oh yeah.
consequences. And I began hearing that echo in the back of my head and then I had to put the fucking cork back on that bottle. Like, maybe no more fighting.
Yipes. There's two things I thought about in that conversation. So one of them, this is way back. I held on to this thought when we are talking about music, and I thought it was interesting because like basically like the whole theme of this episode is talking about like what it is to be monolithic black and just kind of how that is a misrepresentation of like the black identity. But one thing I thought was interesting is that like a lot of the times when people think of blackness, they do think of like music talent, rhythm, music capabilities, and stuff like that. And how you talked about
I'm
how
sorry.
like music
I
was
thought about
so.
South Park when he said that. It's not like, uh, Token, you're black. You can play guitar. I'm getting sick of your stereotypes. I don't care how sick you are. Give me a goddamn bass line.
Oh my God, exactly. But I guess that like I want to say, hear me out, everyone. Please hear me out. I want to say there is some truth to that, but let me cook real quick. Is that at least when you and I were growing up, like I don't know how it is now, but when you and I growing up, I think that church was a big part of like black culture.
Oh, yes.
Like the one thing that we can all agree on is that we was in church. And so just kind
Most
of
of us.
gospel music and like growing up with like literally having live music once a week, at least once a week. That definitely does instill some type of a like learned rhythm and learned ear for music because we were all there as like babies. We were all there in the womb in church, live music being performed right in front of us. So I feel like that like black culture could be the foundation,
Literally, I
but like
go. One of the
we
favorite
can't.
things I love, and I don't exclude people outside of the experience. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You brought up the church in the first. I just want to like make a side tangent real quick and then let you finish. If I start going, everybody knows what gospel song I'm singing in my head.
It's just like that. And I love that. And that's why I was going to get to how like we can have this blueprint for like what our culture is, but we're not stuck there. Is like what I really love. And like that's the awesome thing about being multifaceted like that is that how we can definitely connect on a musical level because it's just kind of like, well, I kind of lost myself. I know what I was trying to say, but then I got too excited.
No,
So
I think
I'm
I
going to
think I'm with you. I think I'm with you. We know
thank you.
ourselves on a musical level, and as much as we may not be monolithic, there are certain things that like do transfer over and make community.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get to is that community part of it. So it's not even that like we're all necessarily going to be able to pick up a bass and just kind of go crazy, but I do think that like at least
I don't know. You can go kind of crazy on the bass though.
that is me. I will admit to that, but I guess just kind of that idea of like what music means to us could kind of be a bit different. I still lost myself. I'm gonna leave it there, but I just thought that was very interesting when you brought that up because it just kind of felt like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you mean about like not giving the mixtapes back or how they talk about like the music we've been growing up with and how important music is. Because they're like, I guess that I don't know how to explain it. I lost myself again.
I think,
And
if I may, I think I'm right. I think I'm right there with you.
yes, you can. Please take it away.
So like, music was always integral to our community, and so much so that it formed a lot of, now again, not monolithic experiences, but again, um, pocket communities even within blackness. And so a lot of us have, and I always shout out to my friend Jelly. Um, she's always going, but what if your black experience isn't unique to others? You have to remember, as much as you're doing these things, try not to ostracize people or trying to diversify if you are going to do something pertaining to black experiences to try and get other types of black experiences, because you got the black nerdy experience, you got the black music lover experience, you got the black hood
Yeah.
experience, you've got black suburban experiences. Because black suburban experiences is us growing up listening to shake, 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 shake
Oh
it.
no. I was gonna get there actually about like where did that tangent come from? How we just start listening. Whatever, go off, go off.
There's the black suburban experience. There's the black rural experience, because some people actually do enjoy things like going to hillbilly parties. I have there's the friend T, and I found out she grew up going down with drinking the moonshine and dancing in the woods with the white people. And I'm all like, hold on, you in the woods with white people? That sounds like a horror movie to me. They're like,
Moonshine,
no,
not
that
a
was my community. She's like, that was what we did. And I'm like, huh, well, all right. But that's blackness.
yeah, you're right. You're right.
I also had the luxury of, I will say, within the same pocket of having music be so important to black people, not all of the same music was important. And that was one of the things I also got to learn at a young age. Because um, my sperm donor was very obsessed with listening to a popular SoCal station called 94.7 The Wave, because they
Hmm.
featured a lot of like jazz and jazz and oftentimes jazz, blues, and neo soul.
Oh wow.
So there was a lot of that he played. He also made it a priority to put like Donnie and Layla on in the house, as well as like Natalie Coleman, Nat King Cole,
Oh wow.
Natalie Cole, not Natalie Coleman. Natalie Coleman is a white actress. You see, that's
I
what I meant. I told you them names is gonna get me. But Natalie Cole and Nat King Cole, just to give you staples. I grew up listening to even Kenny G, and him explaining that Kenny G was a white man within this space. He was the one who also taught me that not Bill Withers, Bobby,
Caldwell.
there we go, was not black.
Yeah, that's that to this day. I'm like, okay, that's the one that got me.
Bobby Caldwell and Bobby Caldwell and fucking Bob Ross were the same person in my brain for so long
That is so
after he
funny.
showed me who they were.
I feel like a big part of the Bobby Caldwell like conversation for me came from how my introduction to him was through Tupac. And I think that is a part of why I'm totally just miscategorized them.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I knew the song, but I forgot about it until you said it. And what you won't do,
Yeah.
do for now. That started playing
I
in my
love-
head right now. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that song.
right? You know, this is a whole tangent that we can go on another day, but I miss that 90s era of hip hop, how they would sample music.
The referential, it was a lot of sampling in the way that we understood discotheques, and that's one of the things that we bond about a lot, specifically you and I. There was a lot of referencing and reverence for the music that they were playing and
Yeah.
referencing, because it was a thing of, I can take this and put a new spin on it, or I grew up listening to this. This would be dope, but I'm gonna make this completely my own. This isn't a thing of, I wish to take this sample and go, oh, not the juicy pants, purr.
Oh, yeah.
Put the dumpy on camera.
Sorry, I crashed.
Thanksgiving season is here. Can I get to the yams, please and thank you?
Oh no.
No, you're fine. I had to do
I forgot I was wearing those. They're just pajamas to me.
what? Those are pants. Don't say that. They're gonna jump you.
Really?
You forgot. We have
Yeah.
an episode that's going to black people. They're gonna be like Juicy Pants' is pajamas. Do you know
But
growing up
that
how much I wanted to have Juicy Pants? I There was the creator, her at is Tally Berry Baby. She's one half of the Jokes on You podcast. If you're not familiar with Tally, um, I think her at might also be Tally Was Here. Either way, I'm not familiar with all of her ads. Forgive me. Um, she was making a point that it was feeding her inner child that she grew up right now and got a Juicy Couture jumpsuit because um,
too.
she couldn't have it as a kid. And so having that tracksuit now, she wears it any and every time she got it in several colors. She's like, I'm outside because it makes my inner kid feel good. And I look good.
Ew. I got two of them. That is my flex.
I think I got proximity to all the stuff that I got to enjoy. It was a little bit later, but I always got to enjoy the things that I wanted. That was one thing I can always flex and say. I may not have gotten things during the fad, but I always got the things, and moreover, after getting the things, I need to turn on my light. It's time to blind
Yeah,
everybody. Prepare.
this, this daylight savings has got us messed up.
You will prepare to know my
Know
name.
my name.
I
No, I'm
told
just
you.
kidding.
Nah, but that actually was bright. Um,
You look cool in red.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's almost like my name is Roza.
My name is Rosa. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Red's one of my brand colors, if you will.
I love that.
Thank you.
If I had, I'd probably say green is mine.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Before it was brat green, it was Data Marsha green. Just putting that on record.
True. We gotta jump him. We gotta jump him.
A little bit. They stole my whole.
So your whole flow, Soldier Boy. Who?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, see, y'all wasn't looking at chartreuse like that until I came into the picture, but I'm gonna let it be. I'm gonna let bygones be bygones.
Oh my god. I'm gonna skip picking petals today because I'm not gonna lie to you. In my both excitement and haste to do this episode, I forgot to canvas and collect questions for the theme of this episode. But that's okay, because I think we've shared a lot of information. And before I completely pivot away, I do want to wrap up the thought we were talking about with music in the community.
Mhm.
It played such an integral thing because it was also something that we had ownership over because music has been something that we can track through time and over the ages, especially as black Americans. Because slavery robbed us of, and everything goes back to slavery. Fuck
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus. Fuck George Washington. Honestly, truly, I would say fuck America, but because we built so much of it, I can't ever say that. Because we own this bitch.
I never thought of it like that.
I didn't either. One of my professors from previous college actually instilled that in me. She's like, no. I get why you're so frustrated with and hate this country so much, but I feel so impassioned and emboldened by and feel drawn to cause and to revolution because I love this country because my ancestors have bled into this soil, have died building so much stuff here. We own this country, at least a piece of it, and I'd be damned if I don't take all of my civic rights, duties, and protest and make my voice heard to make sure that my piece of this land is properly represented. She's much.
Yeah.
You think I'm well spoken? She's much more well spoken than I. I aspire to be. I aspire to be so much that she is. I'm not gonna say I'm a poser, but I'm out here. I'm every time she opens her face, she could be cracking a simple joke. I'm like, and that was funny. um,
Dang.
but so much of our identities, and not only our identities, but our culture was taken away from us. So music being one of the things that we've shaped so much of: country, blues, jazz, rock, soul, R&B, rap, you name it. Bluegrass, y'all might have bluegrass. I might give that to you. Polka and funk, that ain't us. Irish ditties and pirate songs, that's all y'all. I don't think that's us. Is that us?
The polka. See, the one thing I will argue with is Zydeco. That Bayou Zydeco
Maybe.
Creole, and
Teach me something.
right?
Teach me something right now.
Have you listened to Zydeco?
I'm not
Because that's straight up
familiar.
polka.
I might have to give it a listen after this episode.
But yeah, literally look it up because that's straight up polka.
I might have to. Hold on.
But maybe we can argue that
On a later date.
it's like it's a blend of cultures maybe. But
Maybe.
when you look up Zydeco, it's all black people performing.
Hell, the establishment of. Okay, to be fair, a lot of even the black music and the black music as it's been developed, because we can even go into world genres, and I say world genres because they're not typical pop genres. Um,
Mhm.
you got cumbia, and you got cumbia, salsa,
Reggae.
merengue, reggaeton. These are all also black genres, but not just exclusively black genres, but heavily black influence because there was a lot of African and indigenous rhythms and cadences and musical patterns strewn all through there that even stretch back to different parts of the diaspora. And that's just music. I hate to say music science. I wish there was an actual term for it, but that's just
Yeah.
that's just music history.
Oh yeah, music history.
I
That's a
guess
good
that
term.
works.
Man.
I feel like music
Yeah.
science would eat so much harder though, because it really is a study of. Because if we have music theory, why can't we have music science? But I also feel like, while I'm here, because I still ain't forgave that fucking college. I don't understand, after all the shit I went through in music theory, why music theory couldn't at least be a partial math credit. It might not have been a whole one. I'd have been fine with taking a .5 math credit. Why the fuck? Because it's too much math and math. There's too much math in music.
So, like, you have to go up 2 half steps and raise the fifth if you want to make it like there was a lot of math to it.
You need
And
to
then
make
that
sure there are
chart.
3/16 notes within that specific measure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, 5/4 time. Once you start getting to all that weird stuff and cut time, it's like, well, this should count as trig.
Seriously. But nobody wants to hear us.
No, they don't want to hear it. You know why?
You don't want to listen, you just want to dance.
Period.
Hey, another fucking complicated ass song.
Oh yeah.
Because that is not,
Actually,
that's a polyrhythmic song.
oh, I never thought about that. See, okay, I'm gonna leave it alone.
Nah.
See, when we start talking, I get excited. No, don't leave it alone because I do have a little bit of a gripe now that I have a developed brain.
Nah,
But
talk
I
your
used to
shit.
love me some. I used to love me some Vampire Weekend. There, I said it right. So once I started to kind of like notice some patterns, some themes, I was like, these are sounding a little African to me, if I will.
Oh, I'm
You
with
know
you.
the story
It's not
behind it,
just
right?
Vampire Weekend. It's also Coldplay too. Coldplay.
But do you know the story behind Vampire Weekend?
No, tell me. I think it's the same story.
So
That's why I'm scared.
it might be, but first of all of the people in this group met at an Ivy League. I don't remember which one. I kind of think it was Columbia, right?
Okay.
Second of all, you want to know what inspired their music? They were doing study abroad in like different regions of Africa.
Yep,
So
it's the same story.
It's the same story.
I forgot who the main singer from Coldplay is. Literally South African. Grew up listening to African music, if I'm not mistaken. I believe either he is or his parent.
It's crazy, right?
I'm gonna post the clip of the TikTok here. Brief intermission.
I saw this video yesterday and I was cackling in the comments because someone was like, of course Coldplay's music sounds like that. Chris Martin grew up in Zimbabwe. I grew up in Zimbabwe. And I was like, wait a damn minute. That makes so much sense because like Coldplay's music, those damn guitar riffs, it sounds like Sungura music. Sungura being guitar music from Zimbabwe. And if you don't know what it is or have ever heard it, allow me to demonstrate. Exhibit A. Do you hear that riff? Another exhibit. Listen to that riff. And if you want to hear more dope ass riffs and music like that, I have a whole playlist. It's on my Spotify. I am generous and kind. You're welcome. From my very little research, I mean like 5 minutes ago, I haven't seen anything where Chris Martin explicitly says that like some of Coldplay's sound is inspired by Sungura. But after playing those two snippets and hearing those two like early guitar riffs, it tracks. It checks out that Chris Martin was probably a teenager somewhere playing Sungura music in Zimbabwe at some point in his life. It checks out. A little background on Sungura music. The story goes it started in the late 60s, early 70s. A lot of Congolese people were moving down due to political instability into Zambia. They were moving into Kenya. They also moved to Zimbabwe. And so, you know, when the locals heard their sound, they were like, okay, this is fire. We're gonna blend this with our own shit, like blended with a lot of like traditional Zimbabwean instruments and also a little bit of like rock influences, and thus Sungura music was born. So yeah, your favorite rock band, they're probably inspired by a random obscure African rock band from like the 60s or the 70s that no one really knows about. I mean, we've got like High Life in West Africa. We've got Suku from Congo, Rumba from Congo, Zamrock from Zambia, and now you know about Sungura from Zimbabwe. So yeah, the next time you hear a little twangy guitar riff that has a little flavor to it, remember, Africa's sound is probably somewhere in there.
Literally, this creator spent that entire video explaining the correlation between those African rhythms in different songs and the way he composes his songs in Coldplay. And I was like, oh,
That's crazy. I think that if you ever do some like off tangent episode, we should definitely go into like neo Elvis, because there are so many groups, so many artists that are like, wait a minute, you're just trying to rebrand something that's been done before. Like, that's it.
I mean, to be fair, we already have that with Post Malone and MGK in our generation. But oh, you didn't hear that from me?
No, I'm all ears. Actually, I did hear from you, and I just
You're like, and hold on, let me add OG La Roza Negra.
exactly. I'm actually going to go to like the Federal Trade Commissions and get it like stamped, the stamp of approval that you said it first.
Period. No. Um, but there are several artists that are actively rebranding what we've come to consume as rap, R&B, rock, so many things, and co-opting it, flipping it, or taking it entirely. Which is why another part of being quirky and eccentric as Black people, I've always found weird is the lack of agency we have to the music we get to enjoy. And I'm centering music specifically because that's mostly where I'm coming from, because again, it was a mutuality we both have, not just interest, but music especially, because it's one of the easiest things to help translate. Because I don't know, to quote Stevie Wonder, music is a world within itself and a language we all understand.
Oh, that's a good quote.
Yes. It's the opening sentence to, what song is it?
You can feel it all. Oh,
Sir
no,
Duke.
right? There you go. Yes, there you go.
Because none of them songs had actual titles. Fucking as Sir Duke.
You're so funny.
I think the Songs in the Key of Life, that's the name of that album. God damn it. And what did that have to do with any of that goddamn...
Nothing.
That man was artsy fartsy as fuck.
And we love that.
True.
And I bet you that somebody neo Elvis'd him. Somebody Elvis'd him. I don't have the... You know what? I'll do a book report on it, and I'll report back to you later about who Elvis'd him.
I got my 6 degrees of separation. I can actually find out, because I got somebody who can ask him. No. Okay. I don't know if you're going to see this episode, but Bobo, I'm coming to talk to you. I need you to talk to Stevie. Bobo works at KJLH. Stevie Wonder owns KJLH. I met Bobo in 7th grade because he came to our school, him and Kevin Nash, and help us put together a local radio station. So I can say I was a radio host for a year. It was our after school program thing. But 6 degrees of separation is a real rule.
And then you are now my degree.
Yes, you
Stevie Wonder.
Yes. Everybody is 6 degrees of separation to someone else.
That's crazy to think about.
I'm not even going to get to name dropping people my mom knows, and it's actually been very weird. And she's very casual and haphazard, but I'm like, you know these people. But simultaneously, it's also one of the reasons why I in one sense, I always mock my mom. I'm like, you know these people, and this was our quality of life. We could have been, but also, no, I understand why you were so big on both that not being your lane and also getting things on your own merit. Because I'm the same way now. I'm like, my mom knows all these people, and I'm sure she could probably put a word to a bird or something like that. But if she did, then I wouldn't have the luxury or even the detriment if I don't succeed of saying I did this myself.
Yeah. Um, kind of side tangent, but that kind of reminded me of a similar story that I kind of mentioned my parents being like 1950s, 1960s when they were born. Mind you, my dad is from Detroit. So where am I going with this story? Every once in a blue moon, my dad starts telling me stories about like, oh yeah, we used to hang out with this one guy, something Ross, right? And then I'd be like, any relation to Miss Diana? And so he's like, yeah, that was her brother. He just randomly drops these
Casually name drops it.
Motown lore. Like he just hanging out with people who were Motown adjacent.
Look,
So he never really hung out with Miss Diana, but was besties with her brother somehow. And it's always funny when these stories drop because it's like I never really put two and two together that he was living in Detroit
it's
at
also
this time.
funny back in the day because everybody knew somebody famous realistically back in the day because black communities, as much as there were famous people coming up out of them, were still black communities and they were very small pocket
Exactly.
dimensions within a main area. It's
You know, sorry.
no, no,
I-
no, please.
It's I just get so passionate talking about this, and I feel a little bit guilt every time I do, though. It's just kind of thinking about, again, the role that church played in the Black communities. Because the one place that you knew you were going to congregate with all the Black people in town was when you went to church that Sunday. Because, like I said, even going to school, it felt like most of the school was Latino. But I went to church, and magically, it was full of Black faces. Magically, all the time.
Who are all these niggas?
Basically that. But I knew everybody. That was my community. So I knew these people through and through. I'd be like, well, you're a superintendent. You are the librarian. I see you every once in a while. I just know everybody who was Black because of congregating there. So that's kind of what I was trying to get to when you said that, how the Black communities are small. And it's like they all were just in church.
It's always
And
funny
the
to think
reason,
about. Everybody in the Bay Area always talks about how they know each other or know somebody who's famous from the Bay Area. Like,
oh, yeah.
um, our favorite creator Machiavelli on TikTok. She talks
Oh,
about
yeah.
how she was literally friends with Kaylani on Facebook when she was up and coming.
Did she really? That's funny.
Um, I am from SoCal, specifically the Watts area, so that should give you at least, if you are familiar with artists from that area, that should give you at least some semblance of what artists she may be familiar with.
Wow.
Again, I'm not name dropping, more so just giving you a frame of reference. All of these people exist within these pocket dimensions, and we're all doing things. People, there will be people who, if I do everything that I want to do with my career in life, there will be people who will be able to just casually say they knew me and be like, well, I mean, to some degree, and not in a hey, I know you, let me just, but like seeing them in passing, I would recognize them, they would recognize me. I'd be like, yeah, that's me.
Wow.
That's just, I feel like that's just another aspect of the black experience. It just comes with being it. But slightly bringing us back to topic, but also making a pointed thing. I don't think I've ever met anybody within my black experience that has been able to point me to a quirky black person. So like I've
Mm.
never met anyone who like I've never met anyone who knows. I'll go quirky positive and quirky perceived negative, quote unquote. 'Cause I don't actually know enough about negative person, but it seems to have a lot of negative infamy around his name. Never met anyone who knows Erica Badu. Also, never met anyone who knows Dennis Rodman.
Mhm.
But like these are rather quirky and eccentric individuals in one way or another. Dennis Rodman, for no other reason than being the black man within the '90s and 2000s who had colored hair and several piercings, as far as I'm aware. Um, I don't know anything outside of that. I also know apparently he had bad bitches all the time, if for no other reason than Holly Berry. But
And Madonna.
and Madonna, bad bitches
Yes.
on his line. Also,
Yeah.
finding Madonna somewhere near black people is always funny.
You're so funny. Honestly, that's her type though.
Yes.
She keeps her a black partner
I'm
in
surprised
rotation.
because I think she also likes she likes them young too. I'm surprised Madonna ain't got her hooks into none of these YNs.
You're so funny, but that's what Cher is doing. If you, I love her, but I'm being so for real. Yipes! I went there, but Madonna might be the next Cher. It's just gonna take her some time.
You know, and I think that's why I think that's why Cher looks the same. That plastic surgeon and them niggas. She's taking that black don't crack out of them, going. Actually, let me stop because I actually want to meet Cher someday, and I don't want somebody to play this clip and be like, "That's you."
I believe she has a very great sense of humor, and she knows that it's all love.
I do too. I love Cher. And one of the things me and a lot of my friends say. Do you believe in love after love?
Yeah. Like she owned the '70s.
That I got you, babe.
Oh my god, I have that on vinyl.
And I am committing a felony tonight. I will be climbing through your window. I may speak in Simlish
Oh
if you
no,
catch me.
you don't know where I keep it.
I may speak in Simlish if you catch me. But no. Also, she's had impact in several different generations because she was Sunny and Cher in the 70s. She was Cher in the 90s, early 2000s. And then she came back again, and she was still Cher in the 2010s, 2020s. But like burlesque hit all of, especially theater kids, and kids who love timepieces. Right here, see each other. Burlesque, show a little more. She ate that movie up.
Your Cher impression is what gets me.
I'm sorry. You just gotta, baby. You just gotta like center your throat. Like I don't know. She talks. I imagine her talking like a politician, but like during sexy time, like give them a shot of whiskey, maybe.
I see. You're funny.
I would imagine like take Barack Obama, give him a slightly pretty voice, put him in drag, and give him a shot of whiskey. That's Cher.
All right.
I feel that's my headcanon of how I get there.
That's so funny, and it works.
My fellow Americans.
Oh my god, yeah, that's pretty decent.
Ah, shit. Let's finally get to the next segment because we're gonna keep yapping. We are both certified yappers.
Oh yeah, I have my ID on me.
We are going to plug new roots. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this segment, we're going to supply a list of 5 songs we feel are relevant to the topic. I feel as though I should be very clear. I'm going to put eccentric songs on here. I feel like that should go to the theme here. But also realize eccentric exists within a vacuum because what I may think is me being eccentric may be a lot of secret hits because it's a thing now where we've just come to fully adopt and we've stolen Paramore away from white people because it was initially seen as white people music when it first dropped, but niggas love Paramore. Haley Leisha Williams Jackson,
Love her down.
period.
The third. Don't forget
the third, our black queen.
Yep.
Let me stop. Let me stop.
Don't stop if you're telling the truth.
I mean, Patrick, what's his name from Fallout Boy?
Wentz. No?
Is it Patrick Wentz?
No, it's Pete Wentz I'm thinking about.
That's not Fallout
Is that
Boy
the same
though.
guy? Who is that?
Pete Wentz was. I'm trying to think. What band is Pete Wentz?
Is he not Fall Out Boy? Please don't revoke my email.
I'm a fraud. It is Pete Wentz. Patrick.
I was like, I identify as Elder Emo. So
you know what? You're right. I will shut my ass up. That's crazy. I'm a fraud. It's not Pete Wentz. It's Patrick. What is his name? Patrick. Ah, it's gonna bother me. Is it Patrick Stump?
That sounds familiar. And he's also Fall Out Boy?
We're about to find out because I'm gonna Google it. Hold on. Yes, he's also Fall Out Boy. That's okay. So I was there. We were just.
Yeah.
That's also. I'm terrible with white people names. I'm terrible with names in general, but especially white people names. Don't ask me. I'm great with faces. You show me a face, I can eventually dig up a name. You show me a name, I'm about to. I'm so sorry. Sorry to this man. I never met him. I could pass by in public. I say
That
I
is
never met
so
him.
funny.
Oh Lord.
For
But
the longest time, I kept getting Francis Dormant. No, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no. For the longest time, you were what? Francis who?
Francis Dormant or Francis McDormand or something like that. Her and something Tilda Swinton. I thought that they were the same person for like my entire life.
Tilda Swinton is the ancient one from Doctor Strange, right?
Right? I don't know. It could be Francis McDormand. I don't know.
I don't. I don't know Francis Dormant by name, but I'm pretty familiar with Tilda Swinton. If I'm
And you probably are familiar. If you look up Francis McDormand right now, you're gonna be like, God damn, they do. They, I think they're the same.
yeah,
You
she's
know
the
what?
ancient one. She also played Gabriel in Constantine. I know that lady face. That's one thing about it, because Constantine is drilled in my fucking head. That movie also terrified me. Fuck the Tesseract. That one also.
I've never seen it.
Constantine was my Passion of the Christ. By the time I actually got to watch Passion of the Christ, I was desensitized because that was terrifying.
Oh,
Keanu
my.
Reeves with that fucking cross gun.
I gotta watch it, but
You do.
when you mention Passion of the Christ, I jump every time. Like my parents showed me that when I was very young, before Easter, before Easter Sunday.
It's a coming of age. I feel like most straight-grown Negroes have all seen Passion of the Christ.
Right? Oh my god, that movie was freaking traumatizing.
And anyone who grew up in a pro-black household had to watch Roots.
Oh yeah.
These are just canon events.
That too was traumatizing.
Yes. Did you watch? Did you have to watch all 7 of the Roots films?
All of them, because they came on PBS every year. And I remember Big John would sit me down. That is my father. Everyone would sit me down and have me watch that.
There is truly This is one of the greatest things and one of the greatest examples of blackness is not a monolith. However, also there are no unique black experiences. All of these things exist separate to one another, and not everyone has experienced all of them. But especially, there's usually at least a large group of people who've experienced one or the other, and oftentimes there tends to be a Venn diagram.
It is a Venn diagram, literally. It's kind of like how like not all squares are rectangles, but all rectangles are squares.
Yes. Not all black people have gone through the same thing, but all the people who have gone through the same thing are generally black.
Yeah. Because if you said somebody else and say, so when you watched all 7 episodes of Roots, when your parents made you watch that,
right, they may not get that, but they're still black.
Might not get that. Exactly.
Oh shit.
Sorry, I keep
No.
tangenting.
We're talking music. We're in a music segment. Do you want to go first, or should I, with placing the first song that we feel highlights not necessarily just the epitome of our eccentricities, but gives a little tap to the vein?
I think I will go.
Please.
So my song number 1 is going to be Space Cowboy by the Johnson Crew. And can I tell you why?
Please.
I think that it kind of goes back to how you're talking about that a lot of our parents and grandparents could not see ourselves in the future until Star Trek came out. And so early 80s, when hip hop was just now becoming a thing, that was already something brand new, right? The Johnson Crew decided to make this whole concept album of being cowboys in space. And that's just so quirky and so eccentric to me that I really resonate with that song. And if you listen to it, it is so goofy, but it is the best type of goofy. I think it fits.
No, it absolutely fits. I'm going to, because for my first one, each one of mine is categorized to a different aspect of my eccentricity within music that I really, really enjoyed. This first one, white women that I was obsessed with, that people kept looking at me and going, huh, when I would bring them up. I had to narrow it down because I can give you several artists before I tell you the song. At least top 5. Kate Bush, Kimbra, Carmen, Fiona Apple, Alanis Morissette.
Oh my goodness. That is the Rosa experience.
Please. Don't do me. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you take a guess on. I'm gonna let you take a guess on what song you think or which artist I'm gonna go with because I gave you all five of them. One of them is the actual one.
You on an apple?
No,
It's not.
she was the runner-up. She was real close. It ended up being
Oh,
Alanis because something about that white woman rage and you ought to know is going. Yo,
my
ought to know.
God. You know who got me into Alanis Morissette out of all people on this globe?
Who?
It was my dad.
Shout out Big John.
Yeah, right?
Um, I don't know. I feel like that tracks. Not to say that your mom wouldn't, but you told me how much the different types of music your mom enjoyed, so it makes more sense that if it was going to come from somewhere, it'd probably be your dad, because your dad had a bit more, not necessarily eccentric, but more wider sweeping. Your mom, from what I've gathered, had very black music.
Yeah, she did.
Shout out the Shirls, yours and mine.
All right.
Shout out the Shirls.
The churros, the best.
But yeah, you ought to know is always gonna do it for me every time, and it's not to say that black people aren't familiar with that song. Oh, another honorable mention. It was also gonna be Celine Dion, but niggas love Celine Dion, so I couldn't throw her in there. Like as the ones that they would look at you and go, huh. But
You're so
Alanis Morissette was one of those pocket dimensions where people would go, this some white people shit, but I feel this. And then in their car, they might go, cause I'm here to remind you. But I needed to exist within that space loudly because this would be a song that I would 100% perform with no hesitation, no shame, unabashedly.
Next time we hang out, we have to do karaoke.
Don't we do it every time?
We didn't do it last time.
We did in the car. Oh, you mean literal karaoke?
Literal karaoke. We're performing to a bar.
Oh, her. Say less. I'm planning the trip now.
Yay!
All right, it's your turn now.
Okay, so my second song is gonna be "Take Your Vibes and Go" by Keto featuring Kahlo.
Okay.
That's the only reason. So the main reason I chose it, right, is because it's this cute Nigerian girl. She starts this song off with a bar in Chinese, Mandarin, if you will. And I just feel like that is obviously very Deadney core. Like that, if I wrote music, that is something that I would do.
Mm-hmm. No, cause that's crazy.
It's crazy, right?
No, that's actually crazy. I'm so upset because how you gonna eat me up like that? Because my song is not gonna compete with that. Why would you?
It's not a competition. It's just what we're resonating
but
with.
Damn, why would you? The next one's gonna be the song that was. Oh, hold on. Oh, I don't watch my volume because they can hear me, but there's also a little bit of feedback.
Oh.
Songs that were critical to my upbringing. There was a lot of overlap, and my introduction to this wasn't unique because I felt like I met Gwen Stefani the same way a lot of people met Gwen Stefani. Again, there was the connection with Eve, and not just the connection with Eve, but also with Pharrell. So she was immersed in different black spaces, but she wasn't inherently a black artist. I, however, was very obsessed with No Doubt, which less people actually got to enjoy. People know, like, Don't Speak, Just a Girl, It's My Life. I actually went back and dove into the album Return of Saturn, mostly because I was also obsessed with the fact that this white woman had Bendy. Comforting Lie was actually a really cool song to me.
I don't know that one.
It's okay. I'll send you the playlist after we finish this episode.
Exactly. I'm gonna get the No Doubt experience.
Period. No, please. If for no other album, it's not their magnum opus. Don't misunderstand me. I don't feel qualified enough to determine a magnum opus with their discography. My favorite album, though, is always going to be Return to Saturn.
Mm-hmm. Noted.
And I felt like it's that specific song feels like comfort food listening to that comforting lie comfort food. It feels like comfort food listening to that album more so in the way that it just sounds quintessentially white, but not necessarily white in the way of abandoning any or like falling into any white caricatures, but just like this is so different that I wouldn't have to like. It's not, oh, that's white people shit, white. It's, this is music I'm unfamiliar with. I'm not even paying attention to what's being played right now, white. Like,
I see.
in the same way people process elevator music, black people process some white music just in the way of like white noise in the background. It's just do 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 do
Yeah.
do do. I think we're back to you.
Um, my next song is "Crush Crush Crush" by Coco and Claire Claire. Um, I just think that they're so cute. Like that's literally it. It's just cute noise. Do have a funny story that Coco and Claire Claire were supposed to be in San Francisco like a month ago, the same weekend that my friend came to visit me. So we were hanging out at a bus stop and someone was like shaking and they were like, "Hey, are you guys Coco and Claire Claire?" That's it. That's the
No, that's so
story.
cute.
It
But
was
how did they
cute.
respond? Did they like actually like be
Um,
normal or?
when we told them that we're not, they were like, "Oh, okay." My coworker said that they saw you guys come into like the store earlier, so just thought it was you guys.
Okay, so my number three. This was dropped my freshman year of high school. Technically, it was dropped at the end of my. Uh, there's no senior year of middle school, but like my last year of middle school, because the album dropped May 8th, and I was already like obsessed with.
That's my birthday.
I know, I know. um, I was obsessed with Trespassing by Adam Lambert, but specifically the song Pop That Lock. And then it fit for me very, very keenly because I was queer, so it wasn't so out of the realm of what I was used to hearing in terms of like several different queer artists and whatnot, but really, especially pop Adam Lambert and Adore Delano were two artists who Adore Delano more so came about because of Drag Race, but also they had a music career because they were also on American Idol. Those
Mm.
idols were not people that anyone was looking to within the black community. So maybe you might know maybe one or two Adam Lambert songs, but you weren't really there going through the discography. It was like I think they might know like If I Had You, because that one was like very very popular. Or like also I think there was What Do You Want From Me.
Oh yeah.
Most people were familiar with those because those were the ones that got featured mostly on like shows as like background songs, or alternately just got the most radio play within like most popular stations. But when I tell you I was obsessed with Pop That Lock, I was dancing, broke my finger, playing that song over and over. You got to see it, you got the gym, you won't believe, baby, pop that lock. And then also I enjoy the way Adam Lambert sings because it's very classic rock code. Hi, baby. A baby break. Everyone always says hi to Jin. You respect the baby in this house.
Yes, yes. Everyone say hi. All right, bye.
She said no, thank you. That's too much.
Yeah.
um, he sings very rock coded, but also very performatively in the way that I'm used to with like you get like Freddie Mercury, yes, but I don't know how to explain because not everyone was giving that same level of like showmanship, outward performance, or like star appeal,
Oh yeah.
or
Because he
like
isn't Queen, right?
is he in Queen?
I think so.
Is he? Freddie Mercury was Freddie Mercury was Queen. I'm sorry,
No, but I guess like Adam Lambert's in Queen now, right?
I don't
Like he's
know.
touring with Queen.
Maybe I don't know if that would be interesting to find out. I think that would be quite cool, and
It
also
is. Yeah.
tracks. But also in the same way I'm talking about things that track because we're in the same vein of like performanship. I found like The Darkness, him doing the song I Believe in a Thing Called Love on Glee was fucking hilarious because I'm like, no, I hear it. It makes sense. This one makes sense. If you're gonna typecast a character, that one being on the set list makes the most fucking sense.
That's funny.
Oh shit! That when I say I heard him start singing that song, I was like, "We're here, we're here now." This man is in
My
his bag.
introduction to him was the song Ghost Town.
I see. I enjoyed EDM Adam Lambert, but uh, it wasn't bad. I did enjoy that album as well, but I don't know. It's just it's really something about him getting into that like rock squalling that does it for me every time. Now it's not a
That makes
now on the opposite side of things. I do feel like he falls in the same category of loud as Jennifer Hudson in the way of like I love it, but baby, I gotta turn your volume down just a little bit.
you're so funny.
Jennifer Hudson is loud. I'm sorry she is, but like loudness isn't inherently bad.
Yeah.
She just you can hear her singing from the very bottom of her feet to the top of her head. Her entire body is a loudspeaker, and she gonna open that mouth and go ah.
You're so funny.
But I think
But I
what's
think
that? That's number 3 or number
it's
4?
number three.
I can't count. I think that's
3.
3. Yeah, you're on for number 4.
For 4, I'm gonna do Anyone by Hemlock Springs. I feel like that one speaks to itself. Just kind of her appeal being this cute, quirky black girl, but making like cute, quirky music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, she competed, or when I was making this playlist or this like list, she competed with Santa Gold for me. If I wanted Santa Gold or Hemlock Springs, so an honorable mention would be anything by Santa Gold. But
Nah, because both of them, I fuck with that heavy. Yes,
you know what I mean?
fuck with that very heavy. You could. Damn, that's you're cooking. For me, I think I'm gonna go. Damn, I want to give a Black Queen now. Why would you? Why would you do this to me? Because I'm realizing I don't think I have any black artists on my list. This am I saying black people aren't quirky? Am I a hypocrite? No. I on the spot. We're gonna pivot. I can do this. Who? Because I knew I grew up listening to black artists. I'm just trying to think who would I consider? No, I know what I'll do. I'll do proximate blackness, or not proximate blackness. They're not black, but they were cultured and brought within blackness, and then within their own, they fell into their own vein, but didn't get necessarily the scooped up appreciation that they absolutely should have, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Neo, you will pay for your crimes, but we'll talk about you another day. You did good work when it comes to Jessica Sanchez. Miss Jessica Sanchez. I love that so much. I could do so many because I love that entire project. I loved Right to Fall. There was no. I'm gonna do the song Drive By. I'm gonna have to make it on YouTube because that entire project's no longer available on Spotify, and I know it's no longer available on Spotify because that song went triple platinum in my fucking ears in high school. 2014, I was every single time. 2013, 2014, that lady was going crazy in my ear. Also, it's not her resume is also color stamped by the black people because Neil was working with her. Jasmine Sullivan wrote for her.
Oh wow.
She was right there with us. I don't know. I don't know why they decided to take that album from us, but she was there. She was absolutely there. I'm trying to think. I could go through that entire album, but I'm trying to think what other song would I think I'll just leave that there. I want to say I will there's that as well. I think she also scratched an itch in my ear because if I remember correctly, she's Filipino and black people love hearing Filipino people sing, especially black karaoke songs.
Yeah.
If you listen to any Filipino person at karaoke sing Alicia Keys, just go home. Go home at that point. You're not so winning. Because one thing they're going to do is blow. They may not this isn't me being problematic. I'm gonna put this out as a preface point. They may not speak a whole lot of English, but when they get up there, you will not know when they begin singing that goddamn song. Now, when they hit you with that heavy ass Filipino accent afterwards, absolutely. But while they're on that stage, you would think English was their first language.
That's so funny. That's true though.
We're gonna wrap this up. Number 5. I'm determined I'm gonna give somebody black. Go ahead.
Um, for my last and final song, I'm going to stand on this with my elder emo heart, and it's gonna be Helicopter by Block Party because I remember where I was the day that I finally saw that music video and my jaw dropped because I was like, oh my god, the main guy is black.
Yes.
That's it. That song.
Um. Oh wait. I'm sitting here raking and racking my brain. You said Hemlock Springs. We're totally okay with going modern music. In that same vein, I'm going to go. Let me find the proper title of the song because I I do the black people thing where I rename it its own title in my head as opposed to the actual name of the
I
song.
understand. If you do Hey Siri, play she will play the box. I think that is so funny because like for the longest time I could not remember the name of the song. I just knew it said
No way. I'm gonna do it
right?
right now.
Yeah.
Hey Siri, play play
Is she not doing it?
Nope.
Okay. I swear it worked once upon a time.
Modern music, especially black artists. I'm gonna go. I got two options here actually. But no, I'm already here with this one. I was calling it the Kakaguri song. It's called Risk, Risk, Risk by Jiraiya.
I don't know that one.
It it blew up a lot, especially within anime lover TikTok. Um, at least as far as I'm aware, I could be wrong, but um, I want to play it, but I don't want to get this video copywritten. It's fine. I'm not
You
gonna
can
play
cut
it.
it.
Hmm?
I was gonna say you can cut it.
True. I'll play a little bit of it for you because I feel like it's important. It's important.
Dang. Sometimes I wish these playlists were more than 5 songs.
I mean,
I mean,
we're doing.
we're doing.
I'm gonna obviously use that to segue back in, clearly.
Mhm.
But I mean, we could absolutely put more songs on the playlist afterwards. We're just doing 5 for the episode because it's so many, and it's gonna bother me. So I'm gonna go out my way because I feel like you're trying me. I'm looking at myself. I'm not looking at you realistically, but I feel like you're trying me. I feel like you're playing with me. But I let you walk. Okay, that's problematic. We should not actually quote that movie as a meme.
Oops.
Black people don't take nothing serious. God damn it. Precious, come eat this.
Oh.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a sad tale, and Lee Daniels and Monique did very great with that movie. But like, also, bitch, that it should not be that funny. This goes under. I'm not putting that against Lee Daniels and none of the actors because Gabourey Sidibe did good. Mariah Carey was great as that social worker. Monique was great as Mary. They all did spectacular in that goddamn movie. I'm putting this under Tyler Perry's sins. I don't know how it's his fault, but it's his fault. I'm blaming Tyler Perry.
I always blame him because he's behind it.
All right, but for song number 5, what were you gonna give me? Or was it song number 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's already over. Ah.
Right.
Honorable mention also. niggas love them, but I feel like it would be 100% remiss, especially with everything we know of Tyler the Creator, to not mention them. OGK,
Oh,
what, what?
earlier in our conversation, I wanted to bring him up so bad.
Tyler the Creator?
Yes, for a specific reason. And it had to do with the whole topic of like the monolith of black and also like those people. Oh, you know what? We'll talk about it later. I'll
No,
leave it alone. But
nah, you
I had a
spitting.
whole
Cook.
okay. So I had a whole segue I want to go on about how Tyler the Perry.
Tyler the Perry. Perry. That's my new Twitter name, Tyler the Perry.
Tyler the Creator is that if you were a Tyler the Creator fan in his earlier days, right? So like straight out of Odd Future, the way that white people, white people, no, I'm just kidding, but the way that they
I'm
like kind of that was kind of like a palatable rap for them, but for some reason in their minds, it gave them the power to also be very, I don't know if belligerent is the right word,
mm-hmm.
but saying the N word and being very edgy, if that's what it is. And so, if I admitted that I like Tyler the Creator, because I did, I mean, I still do, but you know what I mean? Like in those days, I feel like that gave a lot of the white adjacent people that I was around this like imaginary permission, if that makes sense. Like they just kind of saw me as like, okay, you're that kind of black, where they felt like they were comfortable saying things around me.
I can understand that.
You know what I'm trying to say
No,
about
I
how
get
it
what you're
kind
saying because everyone, not everyone, but most of the people in high school who were Odd Future fans, specifically going around and they would always say the OFWGKTA.
of. Mm-hmm.
I won't say they were racist because I feel as though
Look edgy.
edgy, yes, they felt the need to be edgy. I felt like they consistently towed the line. I also felt like they obviously had some racist tendencies. They could not go escaped. However, and I do the lip tremble. None of the people who actually consumed it in high school, as far as I was aware, were black or the circles that had most black people in them. It was I was there
Yeah.
by proxy, but most of them were Latino.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what it was, and I'm like, huh. It's always funny to think about that in reflection because I enjoyed the
It is
music,
funny, right?
and I was like, I love Odd Future. And then about like, oh yeah, for real, that's cool, that's dope. But you listen to a lot of other stuff too, so I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. Cause I think you're a poser, and I'm like, no, I just listen to a lot of music, and nobody really understood that in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of them weren't black, despite it being an all black crew.
Yeah, right.
Which
It was quite interesting. That's what I
very quite interesting.
that's kind of what I was trying to get into, is that kind of was like a weird layer, if that makes sense. Because I
A
felt
weird layer
like
of eccentricity and how like blackness didn't actually translate.
yeah, exactly.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you
Thank
right
you.
there. Um, because we've been yapping for 2 hours. Let's wrap this
Oh
up.
God.
Nah,
Okay.
please don't apologize. I've had a blast. Did you? I had fun. Did you have fun?
I did.
Okay. You see, I never want to say that I had people here against their will. I wasn't a good host. I wasn't offering the vibes. I try and be an amazing time. But
And you concede.
before we go ahead and wrap this episode up, let's turn over a new leaf. A final piece of advice about this week's topic. We sort of started out the episode giving advice about being your whole authentic self. I think the advice I would give now, the leaf I would turn over is there's never a point in time where it's too late for you to actually enjoy your special interests because there's a community for everything, especially nowadays. The internet is vast and all encompassing, and if you don't feel like you're finding the space you're looking for, create it because you'd be surprised how many people you can embolden and put a battery in their back if you just provide the forum for it. Hell, that's kind of the biggest problem we're facing nowadays. People become emboldened because there's a space for literally everything, positive or negative. Why not? Why not at least take it and try and in a positive light? In a positive light. Try and take it and be your best, most authentic, most joyous self. Baby is
Period.
EP. Baby is EP.
Yeah, the time change got me messed up.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's still adjusting. It literally just happened Sunday.
Yeah.
All right. But what say you?
Um, I think that what I will say is that everyone's journey on finding themselves is very different. It looks different for everyone. So whenever you kind of hit that weird roadblock or whatever you want to call it, just not really knowing where you fit in and where you belong, like as cringe as this is going to sound, you are enough. You are just yourself and just
All
ride that
right.
wave of being
All
yourself.
right. All right. You are enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, black people. God damn it. But that's been the goddamn episode. Yay to us. We did it.
Yay!
Um, do you have anything that you want to tell the internets about? Any special projects you may be participating in? Any causes that you have that are near and dear to you?
I don't have anything to promote for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I pop up on the internet every once in a blue moon, but I
Sure.
usually hide in the shadows.
She be doing her
But
little
I will
hoppy
say,
leg dance.
I do every once in a while you might see a retweet from me. Who knows? But I will say, free Palestine, and I would love to say, um, we shall overcome. I had something in my mind earlier and it left. It escaped already. But those are the two things I want to leave with.
Free Palestine, free Tigray, free Sudan, free Haiti, free the
Free
people,
Congo.
free Congo,
Free the
free the
people.
people.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
be kind to animals.
yes, be kind to animals. I'm gonna tag along on your free Palestine because there's been a lot of stuff happening since the election. I just want to say very plainly, excuse me, very plainly, free Palestine didn't change because of the election, nor did it change based on what Palestinian Americans or Palestinians outside of Gaza and the West Bank are saying about their sentiments with regard to the president. The people in Gaza and the West Bank might have feelings and thoughts about the president, sure, but in actuality, they are crying for help because they are literally dying of starvation, being bombed, fighting for their lives against malnutrition, disease, sickness, famine, warfare. So many things are going on quite literally on the ground. Your politics should not change based on the fact that a couple people said some incendiary things. Especially because these people are not the ones that are speaking, or rather, suffering the direct consequences of you changing your politic. Because the ones that are sitting there making these one-off TikToks and in conducting these interviews are not the ones directly in Gaza and West Bank being pushed and shuffled up and down the Gaza Strip or being corralled within the West Bank. These are people who are refugees and maybe have firsthand uh, firsthand proximity because maybe they have family that's there directly, but it's not the same at all. You choosing like, and I say this more plainly, you choosing to say, so we going to Starbucks, right? Because you all you can remember is the fact that you gave up Starbucks in the name of being standing in solidarity with Gaza. Doesn't just because someone said something that pissed you off about the presidency. Not to say that your feelings are invalid. It just doesn't like it's one of those moments where I truly say two wrongs don't make a right, and this isn't you being the bigger person. You are committing a far greater evil at that point. Because you are robbing yourself of who you are or proving yourself to be a hypocrite or a fraud because you're choosing to what? Try and get your lick back? Is this who we are as a people? Is this really us? I appreciate, but I'm also gonna say no thank you to the snaps because I wanna really have everybody be like so serious because that broke my heart. It really did. Seeing all these people on a pivot just because of a few Palestinians saying don't vote for Kamala. And
Mm.
to some degree, I understand what they're saying because Kamala is right next to Joe and they're currently in office, so they feel like Trump might not be better, but he's at least something different. They're not. But technically speaking, Trump was also president while you guys were under siege. You just weren't under this immense direct siege that got so much light on it after the events of October 7th because you guys have been under siege since the 1930s, if I remember correctly, when Israeli people, after the Holocaust, were displaced and gifted that land by British people. You guys spent so much time teaching us about the Nakba. Let's not be obtuse, guys. It's been a long time coming, but that's a conversation for a different day. Black people specifically, don't lose yourself in the name of trying to get a lick back. Don't forgo your politics, or perhaps reaffirm and establish if your politics truly stand with people, or if you're just and confront why you feel the need to be a sheep if the answer is no, because you are just following a trend. If you can't stand on business, even with people playing around with you a little bit, we're not here to be heroes. I'm not asking you to do anything extra, because after this election, put your cape down. We've done enough work. We showed up. We did what we were supposed to do. We did our assignment. But that doesn't mean forego the work that you've already done, because then everything's in vain. But with that, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Roze Garden. Again, I am your host, Tabla Rosa, aka La Roza Negra, or Black Rose if you're nasty. This has been Data Mosher. Thank you so much for being here. Remember to spread love, go in peace, and remember that karma's real. Bye, y'all. Oh, and stream my new song. I'm not